A Search in Vedic India, Chapter 12, Consciousness. When they met the Swami the next day, Albert asked, Swami, you said that awareness is like space without any form and therefore infinite, without limiting itself to any form. Intellectually, it is okay, but I am not getting the direct feeling that my awareness is expansive beyond my body. When I looked at a jug and noticed that the space within the jug is not limited to the jug, it is okay. But when it came to my eye awareness, I am not getting the feeling that eye awareness is beyond the body also. What could be the reason? Now you have come to an important stage. Do you have any idea as to why you feel that your eye awareness is limited to your body and why you are not feeling its expansiveness? Asked Swami. Probably a lurking doubt exists in me. I am not sure whether eye awareness is dependent on body or body is dependent on eye awareness, said Albert. You must have read arguments of infidels and some scientists who say that consciousness is a byproduct of the brain. But the body is a combination of the five elements. How did the insentient elements could become a body without some sentient interference? Could clay become a pot without a potter? Saying that eye awareness is a product of the brain is like saying that clay created the potter. Yes, Swamiji, after listening to you, I am getting clarified. How could an element generate a non element like awareness? Both are different types, said Albert. If awareness is created by the brain, we must say that brain is the cause for awareness. But the brain is not a closed system. It has inputs from other systems in the body, and the body in turn has inputs from the world and nature, and you will end up in infinity with cause and effect chain. Further, the infidels' argument was countered with a question as to what happened to awareness after death. They argued that it merged with the body. That reply was not tenable, as body and awareness are different types. One cannot merge in another. A wave in an ocean could merge with the sea as both are the same type, water. A boat in the sea cannot merge with the sea as they do not belong to the same type, explained Swami. Though some scientists may not agree, in some near death experiences, it was recorded that the person concerned was conscious even when the brain was not functioning. In such a case, it cannot be said that consciousness is a product of brain. But the big question is experiencing awareness beyond the body by normal persons like me, said Albert. But still, I am unable to accept 100% that eye awareness is not part of the body, said Vimala. Unless you are clear about it, we cannot proceed further because that is the basis for the recognition of the infiniteness of awareness. Do you get dreams? Asked Swami. Yes, Swami, I do get dreams, replied Vimala. Then I will tell you a small story, began Swami. King Janaka one day was reclining in his kingly chair. The army chief came running and informed Janaka that enemies were attacking the kingdom with a big army. Janaka immediately ordered him to mobilize all the armies and proceeded at once to the battlefield. In the fierce battle, Janaka was defeated, and the enemy king banished Janaka from the country and asked him to leave the country immediately. Janaka had to go at once on foot. He entered a neighboring country and walked for some time. Soon he was very much tired and hungry. At a distance, he saw a long line of people standing in a queue and rushed there. He noticed that somebody was serving food to the people in the queue, and he also stood in the queue. By the time his turn came, somebody placed a bowl in his hands, and the serving man put the last morsel in his bowl. When he was about to gulp the food, somebody struck on his hand, and he dropped the bowl with a loud shout. Just at that moment, Janaka woke up in his kingly chair. Servants rushed to him, and he simply asked them, "Is that real or is this real?" The servants did not understand. The queen and maids rushed in. Then also Janaka uttered, "Is that real or is this real?" and nothing else. Whoever came to him, he was repeating the same question. In the court hall also, seated in the kingly chair, he put the same problem. Word went around the town that the king was asking this question. Sage Ashtavakra was passing through the town and heard this. He said he would answer the question and went to the king's court. When King Janaka put the same question to him also, the sage understood and said, "If you want to know the answer to your question, please answer my questions. O king, when you were in the dream and walking in the forest suffering from hunger, did you find the present kingly court, queens, and ministers?" The king said, "No, none of these was in the dream." Then the sage asked again, "Now, when you are sitting on your throne, are you finding the forest in the dream, the people in the dream, and many other things you have seen?" "No, none of them is here now," replied the king. So, during the dream, what you see now in waking state are not there. Similarly, what you see now in the waking state is not there in the dream state. What you have seen in both states are not real, but only you are real. The sage left after saying those words. After telling the story, Swamiji asked Vimala, "You have listened to the story. Tell me what you have understood from the story." Vimala thought over the story and she got a doubt. The statement that both are not there implies that what he has seen in the dream and what he sees now in the waking state are not there. "Please elaborate, both are not there," she requested Swamiji. "It is simple. While he sees the dream, waking state objects are not there, and in the waking state, dream objects are not there. For anything to be called real, it must always be there at all times. Otherwise, it cannot be true." You should understand here that when we say true, it should not be understood as the opposite of false. In spiritual parlance, truth means that which is there always and at all times. Since what he was seen in both dream and waking state was not there at all times, both are not regarded as truth. Since only Janaka is there in both states, he is the only truth and not the objects, said Swami. Vimala, trying to understand, got another doubt. How is it possible that he was there in both states but not what he has seen? That means there is a difference between him and what he has seen. Then what is the difference? Asked Vimala. You are thinking correctly. Your doubt is, unlike other objects, how could Janaka be the same in both the states? How do you think the real Janaka look like? Asked Swami. Vimala analyzed within herself. Janaka is also a man like us, with height and weight, wearing clothes. How can he be different? Did he go into the forest in the dream, wearing all these, and undergone all the troubles? His body was there on the throne in which he had the idea. If the body had not gone to the dream, who travelled in the dream and suffered all those troubles? He was aware of himself in the dream, but now how was he in the dream? Not with the body lying on the throne. Janaka's awareness must be separate from his body. While his body was lying on the throne, Janaka was there in the dream as awareness, and he has seen many dream bodies. That means His awareness itself is split into his subjective awareness and dream bodies. Now it should be clear whether the body in the throne created awareness or awareness in the dream created bodies. It is obvious that awareness only creates apparent bodies and not vice versa. She mentioned the above analysis to Swami. Very good. You grasped it wonderfully. Both of you must be clear that your eye awareness is not bound to the body in any way, said Swami. But I have a doubt. It is clear that eye awareness only is true in both states. The objects in the dream are not true. It is also clear. But how can one say that the objects now we see in the waking state are not true? Said Albert. Excellent question. The objects you see now in the waking state are part of the world, is it not? What is our approach? First, you should recognize your Swarupam, and then questions regarding the world and God are answered. So, let us take up your question later. In the process of recognizing your Swarupam, it is understood that you have to recognize that your eye awareness is not limited to the body, said Swami. All the doubts are cleared intellectually. Now I must get a direct understanding that my eye awareness is expansive and not just limited to my body. I am not getting the feeling now that my eye awareness is expansive and not limited to the body. What is the reason, Swami? Asked Albert. Now your question is why you are unable to recognize that your awareness is infinite. The main reason for it is that you are habituated due to your ignorance, said Swami. They noted that Swami used the words ignorance for the first time. What is ignorance, Swami? They asked. All the persons you know, what they would say about themselves? I am Sylvia or I am Johnson, etc. In which declaration they include their body also. Though a few like you may understand intellectually that you are not the body but awareness only, still you believe that your awareness is limited to your body due to ignorance. From all this, you may understand that this ignorance is at two levels. At one level, one is under the ignorance that his awareness is limited to the body. Still worse, some believe that body and they are the same. Understood? Asked Swami. Since he has done this analysis already, Albert said he understood it, but he got a doubt. Since when I got this ignorance and why I got it? Please explain, he asked Swami. Very good question. Even questioning like this is a big leap. Millions of people lost in the belief systems never question what and why and try to come out of the ignorance. We should not blame them, but if anybody raises these questions, we should take it as a big leap. But I thought you would raise another question. Swami paused. Albert did not understand. What could be that question? He thought for a while, but in vain. Okay, I will tell you. Yesterday we talked about a statement from Upanishads. What all that exists is infinite consciousness, that is Brahman, and nothing else. In such a case, when and from where did this ignorance arise? Such questions may come up, said Swami. Why not? Many people, including me, are feeling that awareness is limited to the body only. Is it not ignorance? Okay, we will come to it later. Let us address your two questions. The first one is, when did this ignorance arise? Now you answer this question. If I ask you whether you could fly an airplane, what would you say? Asked Swami. I do not know how to pilot an airplane, replied Albert. Since when? Albert thought a while and said, there is no answer. I do not know since when. If you do not know anything, it is since infinity. You cannot date back ignorance. Similarly, Your ignorance about limiting yourself to the body is also dateless. Agreed. But there should be an answer to the question of why it arose, asked Albert. Tell me one thing. You and all others you are seeing are all part of the world, is it not? Asked Swami. Yes, agreed Albert. All that exists is only infinite awareness. That is the statement in the Upanishads, is it not? Yes, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. I remember. In such a case, if Brahman is infinite, the world should not be separate from it. Unless it is known to us whether it is separate, we cannot know about ignorance which is part of the world. We already decided not to go into the question of the world now, as recognition of Swarupam would solve the issues of the world and God. Let us confine to that objective only. If there are chains to your hands, your immediate goal should be to be free from the chains instead of wasting time to find why chains bound your hands. It does not mean that the reason for ignorance cannot be explained. It could be done, but it would be a deviation from our immediate task of recognizing Swarupam. So, let us continue from where we stopped, said Swami. Swami continued, since your eye awareness has no form, it is not limited to your body. You are asked to have a direct experience of that intellectual understanding. Though it is clear, you are able to feel the same concerning your awareness when you observe the space within the jug and outside. We also understood that this is due to ignorance prevailing since time immemorial. Now tell me something. Are you seeing me sitting in the chair? Asked Swami. Yes, I am seeing, said Albert. Do you think that you could see me in the chair without your awareness reaching me and the chair? Asked Swami. Albert thought for a while. He understood what Swami asked, but he remembered the signs he knew. Light rays from me reached you and returned, reflecting in my eyes. That made me aware of you. Though he was not sure of his reply, he ventured a reply. If you are not there in your chair, could your chair see me? Asked Swami. No, it cannot see since it has no eyes, replied Albert. Even if you have an eye, if your mind is not there behind it, could you see? You must have noticed that you would not see things in front of you on many occasions if your mind is thinking about something else, said Swami. Yes, it happens, Albert agreed. If the power of awareness is not there behind the eyes, you cannot see. So when you look at distant stars in the night without your awareness reaching them, could you be aware of them? The secret is that your awareness is not starting from you and reaching stars when you look at them. Just like space is spread infinitely, your awareness also is already spread infinitely, and it does not start spreading when you look it up, explained Swami. Though I could see space is expansive, but I am unable to feel the same in respect of my eye awareness. Probably it is due to habit, as you said Albert. Do not worry much about it now. It is not that simple to get that feeling immediately. To recognize Swarupam, this is the major hurdle. We already discussed the difference between intellectual understanding and direct understanding. Some practice or sadhana is required to gain an experiential understanding, said Swami. Please impart the method of sadhana. I will practice it, pleaded Albert. Do not think that sadhana involves some action to be performed. It is just a shift in the mind to recognize the expansiveness of eye awareness. For that to happen, you require some more understanding. Now you are seeing the book on the table. Before you have seen the book, you should know what happened. When you look at the book, first the idea of the book enters your mind, and then you see its form, and then you would have the experiential knowledge that it is a book. Though I described the process in so many words, idea and observation of form happen simultaneously, said Swami. Trying to understand what Swami said, Albert asked a question. Swami, till now you have mentioned that eye awareness is subject and the whole body is the object. I have not heard the word mind so far. Are eye awareness and mind the same? Asked Albert. Very good question. You should be alert like that. You have asked what mind is. Earlier, we understood that whatever you are aware of is not you. You are just eye awareness. But when it appears to you that there is just a small movement in eye awareness and you are aware of it as a thought, you feel that your eye awareness has become the mind. That means if you recognize any thought in eye awareness, it is mind. The mind is nothing but thoughts. Please note that mind also is an object to eye awareness, explained Swami. A doubt arose regarding noticing the book you mentioned, Swami, said Albert. What is it? Asked Swami. Describing the process of looking at the book, you mentioned that first one would get an idea and then the book's form is seen to complete the experience of looking at the book. Why did you say the idea and the form? Don't we get the experience of the book the moment we see the form? Asked Albert. Though they were mentioned as two, the process happens instantaneously, but still they are separate. Suppose you look at a steel box in the form of a book on the table. Do you take it as a book by seeing only the form? You will understand it if I elaborate on it. Suppose a 2-year child is crawling in the room and comes across a cat. His mother has not yet educated him that it is a cat. Therefore, the form of cat does not create any idea in the child that it is a cat. The form of the cat may not cause any apparent movement in his awareness, explained Swami. That means, whatever we see in the world, an idea and form together become our thought. Now I understood. If we have to experience anything in the world, a thought must appear in your awareness. That means the idea of the book and form must appear in your awareness. Now your problem is that you are unable to feel that your eye awareness is not expansive like space to recognize Brahman. When you recognized the book, what happened? You recognized the book when the idea of the book appeared in your awareness. Similarly, if you have to experience Brahman, the idea of Brahman should appear in your awareness as in the case of the book. When did you experience the book? After its idea and form appeared in your awareness, you experienced the book. Similarly, the idea of Brahman and the form of Brahman should appear in your awareness to experience Brahman or to recognize Brahman. But there are two problems here. In the case of the book, you could get the idea because you have seen a book already, and since it has a form, you could also recognize it easily. But in the case of Brahman, you cannot get an idea as you have not recognized its infinite existence earlier. Similarly, recognizing its form also is not possible, as it has no form at all. Swami paused and asked, Are you following? Yes, Swami. Like the 2-year-old boy who has no idea of a cat, we are in the same state concerning Brahman, said Albert. You are not completely clueless here if you remember our discussions. You have some idea about Brahman, though not in its infinite nature. What did the Upanishads say? Infinite existence with awareness is Brahman. What is your eye awareness, which you are always aware of? You exist and you are aware of your existence. So, you cannot say that you have no idea. You have the idea of existence and awareness, though not fully. What are the two requirements to recognize Brahman, like in the case of the book? Idea and form. Now that you have the idea, You can't think of a form as Brahman is formless and infinite, explained Swami. So, is it complicated to proceed further on the form aspect? Asked Albert. In the teaching of Advaita Vedanta, it is tough to find an example which is 100% suitable because you cannot find another thing comparable to infinite Brahman. To recognize Brahman as we recognize the book in the mind, you have to start with the idea of I awareness and try to visualize infinite space in mind. When you visualize space in your mind, are you getting the feeling that the space is limited? Asked Swami. No, space is everywhere, infinitely, said Albert. So, space is appearing in your I awareness now. The moment I awareness recognizes space, the feeling that your I awareness is infinite must be felt. Space as well as I awareness are formless. There cannot be two formless objects or things. With this, just as the book came to your mind, you should be able to recognize Brahman, said Swami. Is this all to be done? Asked Albert. You have to recognize infinite space in your awareness and continue to feel infinite awareness. It should not be done as getting a thought. It is not an action. When you are in I awareness, a silent feeling of infinite presence must be felt intuitively. You must try to be in that state as much as possible until it converts into your natural state. Without your knowledge, a shift happens and infinite awareness becomes your natural state. Even now you are that, but as I told you, habit stands in the way. You have to get rid of that habit. You try to feel that infinite presence. Practice it in the next 2 days. If there is a serious difficulty, come here. We will discuss, said Swami, getting up.